Fire Department Chief Jake Rhodes and the Assistant Fire Chief Eaton. They will be coming up and explaining the new process with the building department and life safety and all of that and how it works and how it will affect us. So please welcome on up.
Well, good afternoon. Don't let us interrupt the most important thing, which is lunch by any means. But this is interactive. If you do have questions about this process or anything else, we'd be more than happy to answer those because we do much better when we're interactive. So a couple things. We're going to talk about the building department, which is now a building division within us, which under the fire department now. So I'm going to kind of go over the fire department, and then Keith will jump in because he is over that division now, and I'll show you that in a second. But very simply, our mission is to provide the highest level of emergency response and effective prevention to preserve the life, property, and well-being of our community. And that's where this really comes into play, because everyone thinks of the fire department, the big red trucks, or a couple yellow trucks in our case, as emergency response, very reactive to people's service or needs and emergencies. But we're not. The biggest part of the fire service now, the real focus is on reduction. If we have a fire, we have failed. And that really starts with the building department, with plans and enforcement and everything else right from the very get-go. So now what we've done over the last few months is exactly that. So we serve the entire community, of course. We have over 90, actually 91 employees under our department, because we also, not only the fire department do we manage, but we also manage dispatch as well. And dispatch is not only for us, but for the police department and then all the surrounding fire districts. So we manage dispatch and now the building department, which is part of our building division. So all that combines into about 91 employees for us. And what we did was, whenever we combined this back in January 20th was whenever this became official, is we combined our current prevention specialists and the building inspectors into one division and made them the building and life safety division. And it was all about customer service. That was really the emphasis of why this discussion was really happening. Because there was when you're talking about codes and enforcement, I think the way that it had been done was very black and very white. There was no in between, there was no interpretation, there was no understanding. And that's where Keith comes in. And really managing that department division a little bit differently than it ever had been before. So the reactive services we provide as a fire department, we do everything. If you dial 911, anything that doesn't involve a gun, we go on. The gun stuff we wind up on, but we're not the initial response to it. So everything from fire and EMS takes up about 80% of what we do, down to tech rescue, wildland, hazmat. We actually have a lot of hazmat here. Into domestic preparedness, planning, response, and of course 911. The proactive, the ahead of the game stuff that we do focuses on the 3 E's: engineering, enforcement, education. We do inspections, we do records retention management, code enforcement, a lot of public safety education, and of course evaluation. The fourth E, whenever we talk in the fire service world, is evaluation. And that's something that we've really had to step back over the last couple of years and really say, how good are we doing this? How effective are we? And it's kind of ironic because this afternoon we have assessors come in for international accreditation. We're actually going through that process, which that process makes us look at every bit of customer service that we do, every aspect of our business, including inspections and the prevention division, the building and life safety division. Our organization, the way we really are focused, if you look, fire chief, assistant chief, this is really the operations. This is what most people think of whenever they think of fire department. But really over here is where we're going to focus today. You can see our dispatch center, but that's our focus today. And this is kind of where we are today, is we have a vacant battalion chief, an official supervisor of this division, which that's really Chief Keith. As we go back, we're actually in this budget year, we're adding another assistant chief. So we'll have an assistant chief over this part, and then Keith is over this part. And really that's based on his background. So really in this, you see the building official and building inspectors that probably most of you are familiar with. We have not changed any faces. All the faces that have been in the building department for the city of Kingman are the same. They're just dressed differently now, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Our current fire prevention personnel, and we also manage hydrant maintenance, which also ties in to this division as well when we're talking about codes and everything else. The one thing on here that is really important is the culture of customer service. That was a big issue when I was approached by the city manager, and he said, I want you to start thinking about this. That's been over a year ago that we started this discussion of reorganization and remanagement of this. Because of some of the cultural things that were occurring. Again, no black, everything was black and white, no in between, no gray area. And we, in a short few months, showed a lot of success in that area because we're very customer service oriented. If you see the patch on our shoulder now, if you see any of those individuals, you'll see them in our uniforms. They're just another division. If we go back to here, they're just another division in our department now. So it's worked out really well so far. We've been able to increase blended training for both. So we'll take our current fire inspectors and our building inspectors and almost cross-train them. So that whenever a project comes in for development and approvals, you'll get the same inspector from start to finish who will handle building and fire. We think that's going to be a lot more effective. And they get to see both sides. So that for us has been great right away. However, that's going to take a little time because both disciplines it takes a little bit of training. It takes quite a bit of training actually. But all people have embraced that so far. One thing about people, and this is one of the things that we heard, if you see names up here like Jim Macklin, Anderson, Cold Iron, and Dave Lash, those are the same people who have been there for a couple of years. And that's one thing that we heard right away was, you cannot do this with the same people. Yeah, we can. Yes, we can. And we do that very well. We manage our people. We hold them accountable. We set up those expectations just like it's always been. And we haven't heard very little complaints. Keith, we get more complaints on Keith and his attitude than anybody else's. If you know Keith, you know what I'm talking about. He's pretty much a loose cannon, pretty much. But with this, we will not have a battalion chief anymore. Again, Keith's background of construction and development combined with his management experience allows this to happen. It's common sense, and I know that common sense, you probably heard downtown. Let's use common sense application downtown. Well, that's it right there, for the most part. No other good decisions come out of him except for some of the code application. That's about it. So, but definitely around budget time. We don't let him touch the checkbook. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith and let him handle the rest of this. So I can sit outside with the jams on me. So.
Well, yeah. So this is the relationship that we have. So he brings me up to where I'm just almost there, and then we take him back down again. So now I can start from scratch. So we give this presentation a little bit before when we were doing this. I think a few of you were in here. A lot of you are here because of fire department and food. And I know how you get some realtors together, possibly food and or alcohol. And so that's usually the way it does. So anyway, thanks for inviting us back again and go over this. So like the chief says, we implemented this January 30th on demand of the city council and the city manager that we take this over. There's a lot of things that we knew that we had to do going in. One of the things was customer service some customer service issues, or it goes back into some black and white answers. And I think every one of you have been on one end of that or another of some black and white stuff that just know this is the only way that you can do that. That's just kind of not the way that we work. Code interpretation, the code is the code. We adopt the code, the city council adopts the code. We're the enforcers of the code. The code is a guide. I use it as a guide. My interpretation of the code is not black and white. The code that we adopt here is the same one that's adopted in New York or the East Coast. It doesn't work here. What we do here doesn't work there. So Part of the common sense thing, which I appreciated that part of it, is it just doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I interpret the code a little bit different. So, and that's, I think, the biggest part of the success that we've had so far is that. And I know that I've been on some jobs. Johnny, we were just last week, met with Johnny on a piece of property that he was trying to lease out. They kind of look at the codes and kind of go by that. So you talk about the same people that are in here. Jim McElwain is still a building official. He works under me. All of these people work under me now. So Jim is still a building official. He still has decision-making capabilities. It still makes those capabilities. I honestly would not know what I would have possibly done without any of these people on here if they were not part of this transition. So everybody has their own things they know. Jim has forgot more about the code than I'll ever know. He does know the code real well. Dave Lash, he's been around for a long time with commercial plans examiner, commercial inspections. Don Anderson, Mike Holdarn, both also, they do work mostly in our residential section. And you've also seen our fire inspectors, Mac Nelson, Oscar Lopez, and Sean. So if you own a business or part of your offices, you see them coming in doing your fire inspections. And then Sherry Six-Wheeler King, Wing, for Six Killer Wing, is our administrative secretary. She's actually a permit tech. So what we're doing with this cross-training is, like the chief said, the 3 building inspectors, 3 fire inspectors, we're cross-training them. So we're going to actually have 6 fire inspectors, six building inspectors when we're done. That, when everything starts booming, when you guys start selling the properties and get everything booming out here, more than it is now, residentially we're booming right now pretty well, but we're going to be prepared for that. So another thing we're doing up front, if you come into our office, you'll see the 3 ladies up front. They're all cross-training as well. It is a busy office. We have a lot of people coming in for permits, as well as the fire department side. So we're doing a lot of the cross-training that way. Some of the things, the performance measures that we have done, we set out to do, we knew what we had to do. With the exception of successful replacement of the battalion chief, we had to wait for the new budget. That's going to be a much smoother transition. So far, we've been through 3 rounds of budget. It's still in the budget, so it looks like that we're a good chance of still getting that. Successful implementation of branding. Trucks, uniforms, business cards. If you've seen those guys out there, they have a polo on it. It says a KFD scramble on it, and they have tan slacks. So they look the part. We're a uniform group. They were not prior to that. It was none of their faults, but they wore a city Kingman shirt and then pants, shorts, whatever they wanted. We knew that was something that we needed to brand right away. Trucks, actually that was done over a weekend. We took the trucks in, they came out Monday morning, and all had the KFD, building and life safety on the trucks. One of the things that we've had a lot of questions on when the guys pull up to do an inspection on a house or whatever, like, I didn't call the fire department. Why are you guys here? Well, this is why. So then they have to explain it. So it's taken a little bit to explain what we've done and how we've done it. Evaluation of all present policies and processes. So you go into, we are policy driven. We have, depends who you talk to, 1,000 standard operating policies. If we do it, it's on paper. Building department was not that way. There's policies, so they would come in and say, well, it's got to be a policy. All right, where is that policy? Well, it's just really not a policy, but on paper, we're paper policy people. So, and you'll start seeing them roll out pretty quick, and you'll have access to them. They'll be on our website. Policy, when we go out, as little as we go out to check setbacks on a house, this is what you do. You do this and set this and this rebar and all this. It's specific the way it is. If it's in a policy, it's done the same every day by a different guy. That's what we've been shooting for mainly, is consistency. Some of the 2 things that we had issues that was brought to us, consistency and customer service. Consistency to where one inspector was saying one thing, another inspector would come back and say, no, that's not the way you do it. After you've spent money to do this, that's what we've I think, did a pretty good job of fixing. Evaluation of day-to-day operations, that has been something. So day-to-day operations, something that we've recently found is that as far as our techs have this, they've been printing and sending all of our permits to the county for the assessor's office. So when we completed a C of O, they print them, send this large packet to the county, which is 6 blocks away. And so I started digging into that. Why do we do that? Well, because they want that to give to their assessors. So, all right, so we are printing with city money the county's job. So that's kind of one of those deals. Why can't I email them to you to be easy and you guys print them with my other part of my tax dollars? So I guess it's just, there's streamlined things like that. It's just that's a little different for me, but it's the way we've always done it. And you guys know as well as I do, I mean, we're humans. When we get comfortable with the way we've always done it, that's the way we'll always do it. So we've had to look at that. Implementation of electronic inspections and access, you'll see this very soon. It's in this budget also, possibly by the end of the year. We are gonna try to go 100% electronic in the offices now. That means anywhere from submitting building plans, all be electronic. We'll do electronic plan review. Your applications will be online. You pay online. One thing that we see a lot of is people taking time to come down to the office to submit this stuff, this packet of stuff. Now it can be scanned in. It can be all submitted that way. We've sent 2 of our gals down to the city of Maricopa. They do it right now. 99% of their building department stuff, anything that the building department is done electronically. They have 2 people come in a day. And it's not because we don't want to see them. I mean, you certainly will always have that, is that you can still come in and do it the old-fashioned way. We'll help you do that. Or a customer that doesn't have access to all the electronics, whatever they need, which is just simply emails and that such. We'll still help that out. But we're hoping by this time next year that you guys will see most everything electronic. And that means you'll have access to past stuff as well. Anything that's public record, you guys, if you're looking at selling a house and you want some past records of when it was sold last, well, I guess you get that from the county, but building department specific stuff, you'll have access to that. So you can see the permits that were pulled in additions and those kind of things. So we're kind of excited about that. And that's in the budget this year as well. Electronic inspections, I think that some of you that sell new homes, I think that you've seen that the builder, there's a lag time between the builder finishing the home and getting a C of O. I know that there's a lot of builders that try to get the C of O immediately for you so you can occupy the house. One thing that holds us up is the inspections. The guys in the field do all the inspections that come in the evening time and the next morning and submit, put that all in the computer. So there could be a 2 or 3 day lag time on C of Os. We're putting Surface Pro 4s in all of their hands. Now that should be, possibly could be just a whole new video of itself, watching this go on. But so if you see that out there, stop and watch. So it might be entertaining. So anyway, ease of access for all personnel. Hopefully you found that if you want to call down, you need to talk to Jim or myself or any of the inspectors, that if they're not in, they at least get back to you right away. Providing customers consistency, accountability, and solutions. There's where the common sense comes in. When you look at our building codes, no, you can't do it this way, but what about doing it this way? And using us giving you ideas on how to do it instead of you just trying to come up with what that is. I think that's something that we have to constantly maintain. And the accountability. We are accountability in the accountability business. We hold our people accountable. And so when you say that we can't do a better job with the people that we've got, I think we're proving that we can. Everybody's being held accountable. And that's kind of, all the way. It's myself, Chief Rhodes, we're all held accountable for that, our people. And customer service, just be nice. That's kind of goes a long way. It seems kind of really silly, but it's just, how about you just be nice? So hopefully you're seeing that too. Just kind of go over this. This is the one-stop shop. So when this all started, the city manager and city council and the new mayor, they wanted a one-stop shop to where a business owner or somebody wants to build a new house can come in one place and see everybody. They don't have to go across the street to see engineering, planning and zoning, they're around. Until they can give us a building with all of us that can fit into it, we're not gonna have that. This electronic implementation is gonna be the easiest and the only way we're gonna be able to get there without building a new building, which we're not gonna get. So, with that, the proximity to plans examiners right now, they've all moved into our building at 412 East Oak Street. It's still standing for a building for people that have been around here for a while. It's standing for doctor's office. Some people don't like to come in because they used to get shots there as a kid, so they're kind of like weirded out when they get there. So, and the ghosts are still around there, so people are still screaming all the time. So, anyway, so we're right next to engineering, so we can get together really quick and do that. The mayor has indicated that she would like to see something maybe set up at our house where it was representative from all the departments. Our department, as well as engineering, planning and zoning, are there, whether it's one day a week or if it's certain hours of the day. We've looked at that. It obviously runs into a little bit of a personnel issue trying to cover all that stuff. But just for anybody that comes into town and has questions, we'll try to get that. Implementation of a pre-submittal meeting. Has anybody been in any of our pre-submittal meetings yet? Johnny, yours was kind of that way the other day. So one of the things that we've done is that we know and we found out that a lot of these questions and issues that we have could be fixed had they known about it before. We get so many people come in, it's like, well, I wouldn't have leased this place had I known that I couldn't do this. Well, we need to know about it, and you need to be able to ask us. At an hour's notice, 2 hours notice, we'll put together a meeting with engineering, planning, and zoning, us, and meet you on site. We can meet with your customers, so we can answer all those questions. So realistically, it's not all rocket science. We can tell you that day that, hey, okay, you can do this because we know the zoning and that kind of thing. We have on our website, I didn't bring any copies, but it's actually electronically filled out, a pre-submittal meeting form. We're going to start having meetings, say, I think it's Wednesday at 2 o'clock every week. We're going to have one meeting after another for anybody that wants to schedule a meeting to come in and sit down around the table with everybody for that. But we need to know some specific information about your project. And so that's the main thing that we're doing. So you'll see that a little bit more. And it's just, what are you going to do? Basically, what are you going to do there? Well, you know, how much square footage, where the property is, and some different things. So we'll get that out. And I'll probably, Johnny, if I send that out to you, you can get it out to your email. So you guys can take a look at that. We also will include in our meetings the health department from the county or ADOT. So if we're doing a restaurant, you can have all those people at that table too. And the county health department has agreed to meet with us at those same times. So you have that. And you know, I think we've all been on that situation. I used to build a restaurant, so I know you get a restaurant done and then the county comes in and, well, that's not what we said we were doing there. So we want everybody to answer those questions right away. So they're being great with us. Customer expectations, part of this is the review. And when we set out with this, the mayor wanted to make sure and review. We had a meeting, I don't know if any of you were there for builders meeting, Johnny, I think you were there. We reviewed with builders, hey, what are we doing, how are we doing? So we know that what we were doing originally is gonna have to be changed. We're gonna have to constantly change and mix it up. And how we're doing, and we wanna hear that. Not just the bad stuff. If you wanna pick up the phone and say, hey, this guy did a good job, give us a call about that too. But we wanna hear about the stuff that's irritating, so we can fix it, and we can't fix it unless we know about it. Clear communications, that's the thing that we've been working on, making sure that the message is understood on both sides. This is what was said, and this is how it was said, whether it's email. I'm kind of more face-to-face person, so if you'll email me back and forth about a project, I just can meet you on the project. So we can really, you know what we're expecting, and I know what you're doing. Conflict and complaints, and the chief said that, things have really went down. Any of the complaints or conflicts that we run into has been basically, I think, will be fixed with the pre-submittal meetings. Because there were a lot of things that on the commercial end mostly, they come back and say, we didn't know we were supposed to do this. or we hadn't heard about this and that kind of thing. So those were kind of the conflicts and complaints. Every day there's something new. You guys live in that world, you know, and you deal with customers like we do. So that's something that we're pretty proud of so far. Like I said, not going to worry about it. So some accomplishments, I think that we've, those of you that sell new homes, I think you've seen and working with different developers. We've made some pretty big decisions as far as developers go lately. Some stuff that had been just kind of hanging out there that we needed to know as far as the developers needed to know as far as the requirements, and we've eased some requirements on some other things, and probably you're not going to make everybody happy all the time, 100% of the time. So the ones we've eased, doesn't necessarily make the other ones happy. So I think we're doing a good job at that. And I think the developers right now, I think overall are pretty happy with what we're doing. Coordination with planning and zoning. So as we took this over, Gary Jepson from planning and zoning, he retired, and then they took and brought Sylvia and Rich. They now work under engineering. So they're working a little bit closer with us as well. Better use of existing building plans. So we have standard plans. Any of you that do homes or builders, you know that we have a standard plan application. So if you have a house that you build 30 times and it doesn't change other than a right side garage, left side garage, we have a program where you get 50%, roughly 50% off of your permit fee. If we don't have to do the plan review, we pass that on to you. So that's something, if you're not taking advantage of it, or you know a builder that's not taking advantage of it, that's building the same house all the time, come in and see us. There are standards and the requirements that we have to do with that. But it's not hard. It saves you roughly on an average house $300-400. So if we don't have to do the plan review, we pass it on to you. At this point, actually, that was kind of it. There's our contact numbers. We've got cards too, if you guys know, but call down the fire department. The building number rings into it, the fire department rings into it, and we'll answer any questions. So is there anybody, questions, comments, or any issues that you guys got going on right now? You guys just full and done?
Wish you came along about 2 years ago.
What's that?
I said, wish you had this 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of why it kind of came. But it's actually working out really well, and hopefully you guys are seeing that. And please don't hesitate to call on either way. Like I said, if there's an issue on a project, don't hesitate to call. This is what we do. This is what we're here for. So, but we do want to stress more than anything. If you got a question on a project or something you're trying to sell, something you're trying to buy, something you're trying to lease, just call us. And if we can't answer that on the phone, we'll just meet you there. It's not that hard. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening. So, anything else, we'll give you a card if you need a card. There's our numbers. Thanks.
All right.